love the term school to prison pipeline to talk about how some of these systemic disadvantages come through. Um, could you just say a little short bit about like that? It's such a powerful line. I mean, that's what you're so good at. You're good at giving us language to be able to visualize where some of these imbalances and inequities and systemic problems are that we could start to change. What is that school to prison pipeline?
Yeah, so the school to prison pipeline is essentially um, it's really an invisible process, and
Mm.
then what happens is like little kids start to get in trouble in school, and typically it's a minority male kid. It could be like a little
Mm-hmm.
African American kid, it could be a young Latino kid. Um, they start getting in trouble in school, and then the school identifies them as like, oh, their family is caught up out in the street, so we got to keep an eye on them. And then by the time they get a little older, they get in a fight. Maybe the school resource officer shows up, and it's no big deal. They just have a talking to them, get suspended, and then little by little, right, that those kids end up in junior high, and then in junior high, now they get their first citation or arrest for, say, drinking on a street corner, or getting high at the park and
Or
experiment.
something like existing while brown or black.
That's true. I mean, it's in the
Just
news
gonna say,
recently, right? With even famous NFL football players that just like, oh, we're going to drag you out your car in front of the stadium where we know you're a player, and harass you. So absolutely, it could just be for being perceived, right,
right, right.
to have done any of these things I mentioned. And then before you know it, the kid gets a citation, goes to court. And here's where the problem is. Um, then they get on this thing called probation, and the kid doesn't care because it's abstract. Like, so what? I'm on probation. What, you're going to supervise me? But the kid doesn't realize like they just lost all their rights. If they're at their grandma's house and they're on probation, the police could just walk in there and search the grandma's house, search the kid, pull them out, because they're on probation. So like,
Right.
and then when you're on probation, if you violate probation, let's say again, or loitering, or violating curfew, or any of those things, you could be arrested. And then there's kids I've worked with, I followed now for 10, 15 years, and I go visit them in prison sometimes. I met them when they were like eighth graders, seventh graders. And I'm like, hey, some of them I know why they're in there, right? They made big mistakes. But others, I would say half of the kids I've ever encountered that end up in jail or prison, I'm like, hey, can you tell me why you in here? Like rhetorically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, hmm, I don't I don't really know. Like, did you like commit like a egregious act of violence, or like rob a bank or rob a store? Nope. Well, what are you in here for? And then it dawns on them that they went through this process where they got on probation, they violated probation, petty crime, petty crime, petty crime, petty. It just added up, and now they're doing hard time. And
Right.
so that's what we call the school to prison pipeline, because schools are very much implicated in setting kids up to end up in prison in that way.